Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Magic. This week we are going to be running an Exquisite Firecraft deck, which in most respects should be pretty similar to any Exquisite Thopter deck that you will see online, though it is my take, so there are bound to be differences and discrepancies between this and other people's lists. What I'm running is 3 Runed Servitor, 4 Perilous Myr, 1 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, 2 Disperse, 3 Twin Bolt, 3 Chief of the Foundry, 3 Thopter Engineer, 4 Artificer's Epiphany, 2 Exquisite Firecraft, 3 Whirler Rogue, 2 Pia and Kiran Nalaar, 2 Reclusive Artificer, 2 Thopter Spy Network, and 2 Soulblade Djinn. Now, I got the idea for the Soulblade Djinn from someone else that I saw running it, and it seemed pretty good in their Thopter deck, so I integrated it into my Thopter deck. We are running 8 islands, 7 mountains, 2 Sulfur Falls, 3 Foundry of the Consuls, and 4 Evolving Wilds, which is 24 lands. We're not running any Exquisite Guild Gates because we don't want our lands to come into play tapped in this deck if we can help it. As always, I will put the deck list in the description below if you would like a more usable form to reference. And without further ado, let's play a few matches. Okay, so this is an interesting hand. I don't think we can keep this. This just has not enough going on. This has a little bit more. The Runed Servitor's nice. I'm going to keep this, though we don't have a blue source. The Runed Servitor could help us draw into that. I really don't want to go to 6 with a hand that's just on the cusp of being really good. If we draw 1 blue mana, I think we're in awesome shape. I have been having a lot of fun with this deck. It's always nice to try out new things, which obviously I do at least once every week. But I will say that when I am just wanting to play and grind out gold or whatnot, I do tend to use the mono white auras deck that I played a few weeks ago. Surprisingly, it has a very, very good win rate. And I generally have a lot of success with it. Okay, so it looks like Golgari-ish something, maybe Jund or Sultai. Let's go ahead and swing. There's really no reason not to play the Runed Servitor first there. I generally try to keep good play habits, though, because they can bleed over. And just being on autopilot, you can make bad plays when it does matter. So at least we do have 2 card draw creatures in play, though we're stuck on 2 lands, which is not great. There's Evo Leap, so that's going to give our opponent a ton of card advantage via sacking his creatures to get more creatures. There's really nothing to do but attack and pass the turn. I'm guessing we're going to get one of these blocked and he's going to Evo Leap it. Yeah, there we go. Question is what they get and if it's going to have an impact. Well, it's another mana ramp and fodder, so that's pretty good. We are in kind of desperate need of mana. I'd settle for anything at this point. 1 more of anything we can cast our chief, but blue, an island would be especially useful, and Acid Moss is awful for us. Just straight up and down awful. And it does look like our opponent is Jund, because that looks like a mountain there that they've played. And barring everything else, I think we're going to probably lose this match. Even though we are quite ahead as far as damage goes, they can easily make up for that with the amount of resources that are available to them at this point. Yeah, we are playing a Djinn land destruction deck, apparently. Okay, well, would prefer not an Evolving Wilds, but you beggars can't be choosers. So let's go ahead and not use that, because that would leave us open to more land destruction. Go ahead and get in there for 2 more. I really doubt a 2/2 artifact creature is going to go the distance with our opponent at 12 life. And I'm going to discard the Soulblade Djinn. It's way too expensive for us to have any hope of being able to play it at this point. If we could get our Jace out inactive and not die, that could maybe draw us out of this if our opponent doesn't put a fast clock on us. And so far they aren't. I mean, that doesn't mean that they won't, but there's always hope. If this was a real fetch land, I say real, I mean the ones that you pay a life for, and the land comes into play untapped, I wouldn't use it until I wanted to actually cast something. As it is, the land comes into play tapped, so if I want to have any hope of casting something with what it fetches, I've got to do it before my turn. Go ahead and do this now, since they don't have enough land out to land destruction us at the moment. Get an island, and hopefully we will draw another untapped mana source and we can play Jace. And we didn't. Yeah, sometimes this happens. I mean, in any card-based deck building game, there is some element of randomness, and sometimes you're going to be the benefit of that, and sometimes it's going to be to your detriment. And there's Guy's Revenge, and I'm pretty sure he's got 7 lands, so we're dead, because we're going to get smacked in the face with Guy's Revenge a couple times, and then it's going to be over. One time for sure, because I don't have a blocker at the moment. After that, I can hold this back 2 block and maybe draw a card. Goodbye, Pia and Kiran Nalaar. You are the hardest thing in my hand to cast, so I'll let you go on your own. Wonder what the black splash is for in this deck. Haven't seen any evidence of it thus far. So we're going to get smacked for 10 here. And I could concede, because there's literally maybe a 1 to 2% chance that we could come out of this at this point. But I'm going to go ahead and play it out, just for the sake of the video. And this is not a super usual thing that happens with this deck. I am running 24 lands, although 2 of our lands did get destroyed, so there is that. And we're going to flip Nissa. That's not good for us. I would love to see what the black is in his deck. I'd be very interested to see maybe if it's Cruel Revival and Fleshbag Marauder or Gravedigger or something like that. Yeah, we have no land left. The thing about playing a land destruction deck like this on Magic Duels, though, which our opponent has obviously been successful, we don't know that they've used this deck to get to where they are, rank 35, but it's either a blowout against your opponent due to land destruction, or you just can't get an advantage and they blow you out. Which is one reason I'm not a super big fan of it. Yeah, play this and pass. Our opponent will swing for the win, and that'll be the end of this game. Hopefully they'll just attack and not do a bunch of stuff to waste our time. There's literally nothing we can do with 1 blue mana that can have any hope. Yeah, okay, I mean, that's fine. Wanting to flip Chandra, it appears. Or Chandra, however you prefer to pronounce that name. I've heard it both ways. Okay, our opponent's trying to be bad manners like in Hearthstone, so we're going to concede and just let them play with themselves. Okay, so this is a bit more keepable hand than we had last match. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Hopefully we won't get land stalled or land destructed like last time. The BM that our opponent was doing there at the end is something that I found to actually be a rarity in Magic Duels. Haven't seen it very much at all, which is one thing that I do prefer about the Magic community to the Hearthstone community. Seems to be a more friendly place in general. I'm sure there's always going to be exceptions to that, as there are with anything that you talk about. Nothing is ever absolute and definite when it comes to human beings. Go ahead and put our Perilous Myr out there, and it looks like we're going to be able to hit our Chief of the Foundry on curve, which is excellent for us. And it appears we are facing another green-black deck of some sort. Golgari, maybe just straight up Golgari. Although here lately I have seen more and more people splashing, going to Jund or Sultai. At least with our Chief, we can kill those if they block. Chief will make our Perilous Myr a 2/2. I'm going to drop the island instead of the Foundry. The colored mana is more useful to me right now, and we're quite a ways away from actually having the Foundry be anything other than a land. We'll get in there, or thin out his board. Apparently he doesn't want to sacrifice a Gatecreeper Vine. This signals to me that he's got an Evo Leap or a Shadows of the Past, or the Reef Soul, and he thinks he's going to be able to just block forever with his Gatecreeper Vines after he kills the Foundry. Okay, I'm going to do I think I'll do the Thopter Engineer. Go ahead and drop that. Yeah, that's fine. That way I will get 1 point in there. I'm not going to swing with my Myr. There's really no use at this point. I could bluff that I have like a Fiery Impulse or something like that, but I don't know how effective that would be. There's always the chance, but okay. Okay, just a pass from our opponent. Wonder if they're holding up something. I think I'm going to play the Reclusive Artificer. Kill one of the vines if he doesn't kill one of our... Well, he didn't. If he doesn't kill one of our artifacts in response to it being cast. Yes, I want to use that ability, and this card is haste, so I can go ahead and swing with it. We'll attack with all. Thopters is generally a very aggressive deck, though it can switch gears and be a bit controlling if necessary, especially the way I've got it built. It's generally a very aggressive deck. I do expect our opponent to be dropping something shortly. 6 mana is a lot to have out there and not be able to do anything. Could be flooded and just have a bunch of lands in hand. Okay, so one of our artifacts is dying, probably the Thopter. Yep, there we go. So Artificer's Epiphany is going to be very nice for us. Twin Bolt's going to be very nice for us. So is Thopter Spy Network. I don't want my Perilous Myr to die at this point. So I do believe that I'm going to attack with just the 2 non-artifact creatures. If he blocks with the Gate Creeper, I can kill it and the Reclamation Sage. Yep, good. I am first going to play Artificer's Epiphany and see what we draw. Because we have an artifact, we don't have to discard. We just straight up draw 2 cards. And there's our land drop. That's nice. And now we will clear our opponent's board. And at this point, it looks pretty good for us. We could get languished and be in bad shape. We do have Pia and Kiran Nalaar in our hand along with the Thopter Spy Network though, so that's good. I think I'm most likely going to drop the Spy Network and Twin Bolt. Our opponent's face, maybe. It just depends. I should be able to take care of Nissa between what I've got on the board and the Twin Bolt. So we'll see. He's not making an elemental, so that's good. Deathbridge Shaman, okay. So hopefully we'll top deck something I don't really want, and that's fine. That's a good discard for the Shaman. And I am going to Twin Bolt here, Twin Bolt here, and I will discard the island. And just to save time, no, I'll go ahead and do it the right way. I'll attack first. Go here, here, and to his face. And then I'll drop the Spy Network, second main phase. In Paper Magic, be aware that you can't target planeswalkers with direct damage like I just did there. That's the way you do it in this game. In Paper Magic, you are supposed to target your opponent and then choose to redirect it to the planeswalker. Okay, so we're going to get smacked with a Gaia's Revenge. Gaia's Revenge has been more prevalent on here lately. It was super popular when this program first came out, and then it seems to have regained popularity of late. Okay, now I do want to get in there with an artifact so that I can draw. So I'm going to swing. Going to swing with all these because I can play Pia and Kiran post-combat. I could have played them pre-combat and swung with them because our Thopter Engineer does give them haste, but I want to have a decent number of blockers on defense in case our opponent has a Languish would be bad, but in case our opponent has some removal. There is an argument to be made to just not play anything and pass with mana up to activate Foundry of the Consuls, which, after thinking about it, I think is actually what I'm going to do, and that will keep multiple threats in our hand if our opponent does manage to wipe our board with a Languish or some other means. Okay, Graveblade Marauder. How much damage is that thing going to do? 6. Well, our opponent has decided it's not worth playing anymore. And no swing with the Revenge. So I'm going to pop a Foundry at the end of our opponent's turn. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, just so there's no chance that I can not get the pause to go through. Our opponent's empty-handed, so there's no other effects that are going to take place. And I think I will just sack this guy, because he's not getting through, and this is going to give our other artifacts haste. And this should be game here, unless I've totally done horribly on my math, because all these artifacts have haste. If he kills my Perilous Myrs, that's 2 damage. We've got 5 coming in the air that he can't block. So here we go. Yep. Alright. On to the next game. Alright, so this is a bit of a slow hand. It is a decent mix of spells and lands, though. I think I'm going to keep this. I don't think that this is a hand that I can actually feel good about mulliganing. Though I think you could probably make an effective argument for mulliganing it, especially with the free mulligan you do get on Magic Duels. Alright, Golgari Guildgate. Let's go ahead and get our mountain. And maybe we will draw a 2-drop, and we didn't. So now we are kind of needing to draw a land to get our 4-drops online. We can Artificer's Epiphany and just discard something, filter through some cards, and hopefully hit a land drop if necessary. I will definitely do that this turn, which I hit a drop, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and cast Runed Servitor then. With our opponent not having anything on board, it may have been correct to actually just cast the Epiphany to try to guarantee that we get our 4th land drop. I kind of value the board presence more at this point, though, myself. Okay, so we're going to get our draw from this, and it's going to cost our opponent that card, though they get a draw as well. And no land, so we've got to do this. And still no land. That is pretty bad. I'm going to discard the Artificer. I think it's the least useful card in our hand at the moment. We're equally far from casting it as we are any of these other 4-drops, but it's not really going to do as much as they do without anything on board to trigger off of. And it looks like we're playing against elves, so that's a thing. We do have answers for this guy. Okay, and we have something we can play. I have not had this much mana trouble in testing this deck as I have when I've made this video. It is very strange to me. Though that may be an argument that the deck needs another land, up to 25, because I guess it is pretty mana hungry. There are a lot of 4-drops and even higher in the deck. Okay, so our Thopter Engineer is bye-bye. question is, yeah, he's just going to kill my Thopter. I'm going to say the question is whether he does that or hits my face. And finally we get a land, though it is one that's not going to allow us to cast anything. Go ahead and do that. Get our second red. And I may want to disperse his Gilt Leaf Winnower there. We haven't got a ton of targets that it can hit in the deck. Thopter Engineer and the Djinn are about it. Everything else is even power and toughness. Though, I think I'm going to bounce this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to bounce his token generator. A lot of people try to do that. Try to pause in the second main and get you to not pay attention so that you'll miss your pause if you have effects at the end of their turn before you get a chance to do it. Alright, and now we're getting land. I don't know if it's in time though. Kind of want to kill that archer before I put out things that it can pick off. So, I'm going to Firecraft the Winnower. Then Twin Bolt to this and to our opponent's face. They can definitely come back from that though, especially with the token generators like we just bounced at the end of the last turn. Can get a board presence again in nothing flat. Hopefully they don't have a 1-drop elf at the moment. If not, we're in better shape because we can play one of our multi-creatures and bounce that, which is what I plan on doing. I think I'm going to play the Whirler Rogue and go ahead and disperse this guy. So we are kind of tempoing our opponent off there, but they have a lot more cards in their hand and we don't have much in the way of tempo left to draw from our deck. And now they do have a 1-drop, so that's token generation. Okay. I think the thing to do is get in there with our Thopters. Confirm that. And I could play Pia and Kiran and still have mana up to sack an artifact and deal 2 damage. Seems like it may be a really good play. I'm not for certain. I think that's what I'm going to do though. Do this. That way I can sack one of our tapped Thopters to deal a damage if necessary. Could have played it pre-combat and used Whirler Rogue's ability to give Whirler Rogue unblockable, but I actually value it on defense at the moment. Okay, well, I'm trying to pause. I wanted to do something before that Evo hit, but as it stands, I couldn't get it to pause, as I've had issues with in the past. I don't know if that's lag or what, but go ahead and sack this, try to kill that. Now he's going to get an Evo Leap activation, or not. So they didn't manage to do Evo Leap. So that's somewhat good for us. See what they want to do. in the form of attacks here. I would actually be kind of tempted to try to multiple block on the token generator there, the Hunt Master. Although untapping and drawing a Master of the Foundry would be super good too. We're not getting that option, it appears. Going to go ahead and kill our Whirler Rogue. And I do not want to block with Pia and Kiran because they represent some board control for us. That is very good. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm playing into mass removal, but in general, the Elves decks do not run Languish or anything of the like. It's just not very good for them. Okay. We will attack not with this. Get in there for 6 damage. So we may actually be able to pull this out. I wouldn't super count on it, but there is the possibility. We're not in super bad shape now that we've come out of our mana screw and actually have a lot of tokens on the board. Alright. So with Huntmaster out, Elvish Visionary is insane value. 2 1/1s and draw a card is pretty good. Okay, so we're going for Evo Leap now, it appears. Trying to get something going. Alright, Deadbridge Shaman. These ground creatures don't matter a lot to me. Okay, there's the Deadbridge Shaman. And tons of elves on the board. I don't see any reason... I was going to say, I don't see any reason not to block several of those. Alright, I'm going to hold this in my hand. I think we can kill our opponent right now. He has no way to stop our airborne assault. And after combat, we can just use Pia and Kiran to deal another 4 damage. So that's game, friends. Two more. Yeah, that's fine. Well, that's it for this episode of Friday Night Magic. Again, the deck list is in the description if you would like a better reference for it than the video-based one here. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like below. It does help. Consider subscribing to the channel. I put up content every day, Magic content on Fridays. And as always, be excellent to each other.